Well, apparently it's been 10 years since the last episode. Not for us, of course, but for the characters of House of the Dragon. And so it's 10 years later for The Princess and the Queen, which is primarily the overall plot for the series of the battle that is going to wage between these two women who sadly grew up as besties. But now, well, things are much different. And, of course, Alicent, all she's going to care about is her children now, you know, and they're all at risk once her husband dies. And looking at him, boy, and, of course, he wasn't so healthy 10 years ago. Imagine the state he's in now. His hair's all falling out and everything, and he needs help moving around and all this. So it's, boy, the clock's ticking, you know. So Alicent has spent this time learning the game. She's still a bit naive here and there, as you discover in this episode, but she's certainly wise to Rhaenyra and all that. So the brutality and grossness of it continues in here, not just in the giving birth scenes. I know it's supposed to be a joyous occasion, but and they don't really show a whole lot. It's just the sounds. Yeah. So anyway, Rhaenyra gives birth to a baby boy. Turns out it's her third child. Oh, yes, her and Sir Laenor are so happy. Yeah, none of the kids are his. They're not Sir Criston's either. She's moved on to a new guy, a Harwin. And so, Sir Criston's upset about what happened and everything. And I'm guessing because for the most part, there was so much confusion and whatnot that I guess people at the party just didn't put two and two together that he's the one who murdered Sir Laenor's boy toy. And of course he's come under the wing of Alicent. She saves him, and now there's nothing going on between them. It doesn't insinuate that. And of course Alicent is steadfast against this type of behavior. She's all upset because Rhaenyra keeps giving birth to these bastard children. And so none of them have a claim, you know. But Sir Laenor just can't seal the deal, you know, because he doesn't swing that way. He's got a new boyfriend, by the way, so don't worry about him. He puts up a good show. He actually tries to help out Rhaenyra. There's some understanding between them, and I guess they're kind of friends, you know, because as soon as Rhaenyra gives birth, the queen says she wants to see the child. Well, Rhaenyra doesn't trust her and everything, and she doesn't want to let go of her baby and all that. Plus, it's all about Alicent looking to ruin her. So while still bleeding, she demands to carry her child herself to the queen, and so Sir Laenor helps her out as best he can. But you know, so anyway, that's the situation they're in. It's obvious where it was going to go. It seems Sir Laenor did not grow out of his affinity for the same sex. So yeah, dear old dad was wrong about that one, wasn't he? So. Meanwhile, Doctor Who, of course, has married the sea snake's daughter, and they have kids. And they're going to have one more, and they're making plots to, he is, to seek allies, because they're all seeing the coming war and whatnot. Well, but his wife was hoping they could return home, and that doesn't seem likely, and so she's not happy. And then on top of all that, she gives birth. So it begins with the birth and it ends with the birth. And she's trying to give birth, and there's a problem. And their doctor, or maester, as they call him, he tries as he can, but he says, I can't do it. I can't. There's something wrong. I can't save her. He says, I could, do the C-section, but of course, they're not very good at that, as we've already seen. So she's unlikely to survive it. And but Doctor Who, to his credit, just sort of like, oh, I don't know what to do. He doesn't order him to do it, you know. But maybe he would have. I don't know. They turn to look at her, and she's gone. And what does she do? Well, she wanders out of the castle to her pet dragon and starts giving the dragon the order to burn her up. And the dragon's like, what? But it has to obey her. And so eventually, that's exactly what it does. It barbecues her away. Doctor Who arrives too late. He witnesses this. And so he's stuck with 2 daughters now from that marriage. And he's like, well, Mom's dead. It sucks, you know. So I guess he'll make the deal with the ally. I'm forgetting his name at the moment, but yeah, that's where they'll go forward. And it's important to note that this is 10 years, but they've already done some time jumps through this story, so who knows where they'll be in next episode and how far and everything. Meanwhile, the kids are all messed up, you know, and what you know, poor bastards, as I was gonna say. But even the ones that aren't bastards still, you know. You know, they're spoiled brats, and one of them's already pretty well perverted. Yeah. And so what are you going to do? You know, it's that nasty castle and all that backstabbing crap to achieve power and whatnot. And even if you didn't want anything to do with it, then your only other option is to die because you're in the way of someone else. Meanwhile, Laris is proving to be quite the handler behind the man behind the scenes, and he's making all kind of moves, and in service to Alicent, as far as he puts it, she said, hey, I didn't tell you to do this, but he ends up killing the king's hand and his son Harwin, which it's revealed that he is the true father of Rhaenyra's sons. And so he dispatches that because he creates this group of assassins that are loyal to him because they were on death row, and he goes down to talk to them and tells them, well, you know what? I can spare you the rope, but you gotta do something for me. So what do they have to do? Well, they all had to agree to have their tongues cut out. So they can't say anything. They can't speak the truth or whatever. And probably illiterate as well, so they can't write it down. Yeah. So they show the scene of how they do it. So that's part of the brutal aspects of typical Game of Thrones fare. So there you go. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra actually offers an olive branch to Alicent in order to have their kids marry one another. Again, boy, the incest is everywhere. But at least they'd be cousins, Alicent doesn't trust her at all. And eventually Rhaenyra figures, well, this isn't going to happen because Alicent doesn't want to marry her daughter to any of those bastards, She's like, oh, this is disgusting. So, on top of everything else, but apparently nobody seems to have a problem with the incestuous aspect. So anyway, Rhaenyra decides, well, let's head over to Dragonstone. And so that's where her and Laenor are headed. She even says, hey, you can bring your boyfriend. He's good with the sword. We'll probably need him. So, boy, is he. Not that sword, you idiot. Oh, you mean, yeah, he's a good warrior. Yeah. So, off they go. So that's where they're going with all her kids. Even one of the boys has figured it out that, isn't Harwin my father? She's like, oh, crap. It's a little young. How did he know that? And because she does it, because everybody knows it. Everybody's whispering around the castle, and she's like, let's get the hell out of here. And so that's the situation for her. So again, it's a very dark soap opera, again, Dallas with dragons, and it's all about the Targaryens for the most part. It's like Dallas was all about the Ewings. I mean, sure, the Barnes family played a role, but it was really all about JR and the Ewings, except JR here is named Damon, played by Doctor Who. and all that. So it continues to be, it's good. It's a good show. It could destroy itself, I suppose. One will have to see. And of course, its main rival, supposed to be Rings of Power, there is no contest, just none at all. And oddly enough, the recent episode of the past week of Rings of Power was the scene of Galadriel training the soldiers, young soldiers and whatnot, and she's just making fools of them, and it just looked ridiculous and stupid. Here you have a training scene, as it probably would have been. First of all, these young lads, or the princes, are all having to be taught swordplay and all that. They use wooden swords because it would be too dangerous to do it the other way. Except, say, Lenore and his boyfriend, they're actually using real swords later on, but they know what they're doing. Anyway, it's more believable. Now, it's a scene to set up for Sir Criston and Harwin to go at it, because Sir Criston suspects he's the father of Rhaenyra's kids, and he's spot on, and he causes Harwin to lose his crap and beat the crap out of Sir Criston, but it's what he wanted, so he revealed the truth. And then Harwin is, his reputation is ruined, and which all leads to him getting murdered later on back at home with his poor dad. So there you are. Yes, there's no hope for Rings of Power to even catch the level of this show, and despite the shadow of Game of Thrones going to hang over House of the Dragon, it's still, for what it is an okay show. I still don't think it's gained anywhere near the level of what Game of Thrones had achieved when it was good, but it's a good show. Just call it like I see it. As for who is the hero of this show, or heroes, boy, I thought you could have argued it was Sir Criston, but not quite. You know what? I think it's the dragons. Because even though what's her name? I forget. I'm sorry. Daemon's wife was asking her dragon to kill her because she's in this misery and stuff. The dragon did hesitate and pause, but he's compelled to obey her, so he does it. But for the most part, they're pretty innocent. I mean, they obey their orders that they're told to do, but Of course, we know it doesn't end well for them. It takes a while before their descendants come back. But anyway, I guess that they're the only ones that are good, except for the poor lamb that the dragon ended up barbecuing and eating. So I guess the lamb is a little bit more innocent, Yeah. Well, the dragons can't help it. Lamb chops are good. What does it taste like? Like chicken. Yeah. Anyway, House of the Dragon.